Hello, I'm Caitlin Huey-Burns in Washington. Welcome to America Decides. FBI Director Christopher Wray announced today that he's stepping down. Wray says he'll resign before incoming President Donald Trump takes office. Trump has said he'll nominate loyalist Kash Patel as FBI Director. Here was Patel shortly after the news broke.
We look forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
So I need to tell you about something that's causing absolute chaos inside the White House right now. And when I say chaos, I mean the kind of panic where people are scrambling behind closed doors, trying to figure out what to do. Because Kash Patel, the FBI director that Trump handpicked to take over the bureau and clean house, is apparently on the verge of being pushed out. And not by Democrats, not by the deep state, not by any of the usual enemies Trump rails against, by Trump himself, the guy who put Patel in that position. The guy who championed him as the person who would finally restore integrity to the FBI. That guy is now reportedly so frustrated with Patel that he's considering firing him by December 15th. And the reason? Unflattering headlines. That's what the reports are saying. Trump is tired of the bad press Patel keeps generating, and he's ready to cut him loose. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video. Come on. Are you kidding me right now? This is Kash Patel we're talking about? The ultimate MAGA loyalist. The guy who was supposed to be the answer to everything wrong with federal law enforcement. The guy who was going to expose the deep state and hold all the right people accountable, and finally deliver the justice that Trump supporters have been demanding for years. And now, less than a year into his tenure as FBI director, there's talk of resignation, there's talk of firing, there's panic in the West Wing about what happens next. The whole situation has gone completely sideways in ways that nobody expected, and the fallout is exposing fractures within Trump's inner circle that are genuinely alarming. The reports coming out about Trump's frustration with Patel paint a picture of a president who has lost confidence in someone he once championed relentlessly. According to multiple sources, Trump has grown increasingly annoyed with the controversy swirling around Patel, the Epstein file situation, questions about Patel's personal conduct, the security arrangements around Patel's girlfriend that raised eyebrows. All of these things have generated negative coverage, all of them have distracted from Trump's agenda, and all of them have apparently pushed Trump to the point where he's seriously considering making a change at the top of the FBI. That's not a minor personnel decision. That's a seismic shift that would send shockwaves through the entire federal law enforcement apparatus. The White House is publicly denying that anything is wrong. Spokespeople have called Patel a critical member of the team.
Right now, President Trump is in the Oval Office alongside FBI Director Kash Patel announcing new crime data for his second term. So far, the Bureau reports it made around 28,000 arrests as part of what the president called Operation Summer Heat. So joining us now is CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd with more on this. Sam, what did we learn here? What is the significance of this announcement?
Well, there really seem to be two goals from this press conference, which is still ongoing. The first was to run through a long list of law enforcement statistics, and candidly, some very positive statistics. We have not yet had the opportunity to independently verify them.
They've said he's working hard to restore FBI integrity. They've insisted that Trump has full confidence in his FBI director. But come on, we've seen this movie before. How many times has Trump expressed full confidence in someone right before firing them? How many times have White House statements of support been the kiss of death for administration officials? The public denials don't mean anything. What matters is what's happening behind closed doors. And what's happening behind closed doors, according to the reports, is that Trump is frustrated and considering drastic action. The Epstein situation has been particularly damaging for Patel within MAGA circles. And this is really interesting because you would think that Patel, as a loyal Trump ally running the FBI, would be the perfect person to handle the Epstein file release. He should be the guy making sure everything comes out. He should be the one delivering on Trump's promises about transparency. But instead, Patel has become a lightning rod for criticism from Trump's own supporters. He's been accused of changing his stance on Epstein's death. He's been accused of covering things up rather than exposing them. There are conspiracy theories circulating about him. There are MAGA influencers who have turned on him completely. The base that should be his biggest supporters has become a source of pressure and criticism. The irony here is almost painful. Trump appointed Patel specifically because he was supposed to be loyal, because he was supposed to be a true believer who would never waver, because he was supposed to be someone Trump could trust absolutely to do what needed to be done. And now that loyalty is being questioned, Patel's shifting narratives on various issues have created doubts. His handling of sensitive matters has generated controversy. The person who was supposed to be the ultimate MAGA warrior running the FBI has become a liability, a source of bad headlines, a distraction from the agenda Trump wants to pursue. That's a stunning reversal in a remarkably short period of time. The panic inside the White House is reportedly intense. Staff members are worried about what happens if Patel goes. They're worried about the confirmation process for a replacement. They're worried about the political fallout from firing someone who was sold to the base as the answer to all their prayers about the FBI. They're worried about the narrative that Trump can't keep people in key positions, that his judgment about personnel is flawed, that his administration is marked by constant turnover and chaos. All of these concerns are swirling as the decision about Patel's future hangs in the balance, and social media is on fire with speculation. Despite Patel's public denials that anything is wrong, despite his insistence that he's not going anywhere, the rumors keep intensifying. People close to the situation are leaking, reporters are digging, the story has taken on a life of its own, and every day that passes without a clear resolution just adds to the sense that something is seriously wrong, that a major change is coming, that the Kash Patel era at the FBI might be ending almost before it really got started. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what's happening with Kash Patel, why Trump is reportedly so frustrated, what the controversies are that have put Patel's position in jeopardy, and what it all means for the FBI, for Trump's agenda, and for the power struggles playing out inside this administration. Because this story is about way more than one personnel decision. This is about loyalty and betrayal, about promises and disappointments, about an administration that keeps devouring its own. Okay, so let's dig into what's actually happening here. Because the Kash Patel situation is more complicated than the headline suggests. We need to understand who Patel is, what he was supposed to accomplish, and how things went so wrong so fast. Because this isn't just about one guy potentially losing his job. This is about the fundamental tensions within the MAGA movement, about the gap between promises and reality, about what happens when someone who was supposed to be a true believer starts generating the kind of controversy that makes even their biggest supporters uncomfortable. The Patel situation is a case study in how quickly things can fall apart when expectations don't match outcomes. Let me give you some background on Kash Patel, because understanding his rise helps explain why his potential fall is so significant. Patel has been a Trump loyalist for years. He worked on the House Intelligence Committee staff when Devin Nunes was pushing back against the Russia investigation. He was involved in drafting the famous Nunes memo that challenged the FBI's handling of the Steele dossier. He served in various national security roles during Trump's first term, and through all of it, he built a reputation as someone who was willing to fight for Trump, no matter what. Someone who genuinely believed the deep state was real and needed to be dismantled. Someone who would never back down or moderate his positions to please the establishment. When Trump nominated Patel to be FBI director for his second term, it was seen as a major statement. This wasn't someone who would maintain the status quo at the Bureau. This wasn't someone who would protect the institution or its traditions. This was someone who would burn it all down and rebuild it according to MAGA principles. The FBI would finally be cleaned out, the corrupt agents would be fired, the cover-ups would be exposed, justice would finally be served. That was the promise. That was what Trump supporters expected when Patel took over. And for a while, it seemed like that's exactly what was going to happen. But somewhere along the way, something changed. The controversy started piling up. The bad headlines started appearing, and the base that was supposed to be Patel's biggest cheerleading section started turning on him. The Epstein situation is really at the center of all of this. Trump promised during the campaign that he would release the Epstein files, full transparency, let everyone see what's in there. It was a major applause line at rallies. It was something his supporters cared deeply about. And Patel, as FBI director, was supposed to be the person who made that happen. He was supposed to ensure the files came out. He was supposed to use the Bureau's resources to get to the truth. Instead, Patel became associated with delays and half measures. When files were released, they seemed incomplete. When questions were asked, answers seemed evasive. And then most damaging of all, Patel appeared to change his stance on certain aspects of the Epstein case. On questions about how Epstein died, on questions about what the FBI knew and when, his shifting narratives created suspicion. They created doubt. They created a sense among MAGA supporters that maybe Patel wasn't really on their side after all. Maybe he was covering things up rather than exposing them. Maybe he had been compromised somehow. The conspiracy theories started spreading, and Patel, who was supposed to be the conspiracy buster, became the target of conspiracies himself. The security arrangements around Patel's girlfriend added fuel to the fire. Details emerged about protective measures that seemed excessive. Questions were raised about whether government resources were being used appropriately. It became another controversy, another distraction, another source of unflattering headlines. And Trump, according to the reports, was getting increasingly frustrated. He doesn't like it when his appointees generate negative coverage. He doesn't like it when his agenda gets overshadowed by personnel drama. And Patel was generating plenty of both. The internal MAGA conflict over Patel has been fascinating to watch. You have some prominent voices defending him, saying he's doing his best in a difficult job, saying the attacks on him are unfair, saying he deserves more time to accomplish what he set out to do. But you also have other prominent voices attacking him relentlessly, calling him a sellout, calling him a deep state plant, demanding that Trump fire him immediately. The MAGA movement, which often presents itself as unified behind Trump, is genuinely divided over Kash Patel, and that division has made it harder for Trump to decide what to do. Firing Patel pleases one faction but angers another. Keeping him pleases one faction but angers another. There's no easy path. The White House's public statements of support for Patel have to be understood in this context. When spokespeople call him a critical member of the team, they're trying to buy time. They're trying to calm the waters while decisions are being made behind closed doors. They're not necessarily expressing Trump's actual views. Trump praised Patel at a recent White House event, but Trump has also reportedly expressed frustration in private. The public and private messages don't always align, and experienced Trump watchers know that public praise often means nothing. Some of Trump's most enthusiastic public endorsements have come right before firings. The December 15th date that's being mentioned in reports is significant because it creates a timeline. It suggests that a decision is coming soon, that the current state of uncertainty can't continue indefinitely, that one way or another, Patel's status will be resolved in the coming weeks. That timeline adds urgency to all of the maneuvering happening behind the scenes. Allies of Patel are trying to shore up his support. Enemies are trying to push him out. And Trump is trying to figure out which option serves his interests best. The implications for the FBI are enormous, regardless of what happens. If Patel stays, the controversies will continue. The questions about his handling of sensitive matters will persist. The MAGA critics will keep attacking him. The Bureau will remain mired in drama and distraction. But if Patel goes, the confirmation process for a replacement will be brutal. Democrats will use it as an opportunity to highlight Trump's turnover problems. The FBI will be leaderless during a critical period, and whoever comes next will face the same impossible expectations that Patel couldn't meet. The leadership instability this represents extends beyond just the FBI. It's part of a broader pattern in Trump's second term. Key positions turning over, appointees falling out of favor, internal conflicts playing out in public. The administration has struggled to maintain a stable team, and every departure, every near departure, adds to the sense of chaos, reinforces the narrative that Trump can't keep people, that his judgment about personnel is flawed, that working for him is a career-ending proposition for many people. Patel's situation fits into that broader narrative, even if it's resolved by him staying. The impact on investigations the FBI is handling adds another dimension to all of this. The Bureau is involved in numerous sensitive matters. Some of those matters involve Trump's political enemies. Some involve the Epstein case. Some involve national security issues. The leadership turmoil at the top of the FBI affects all of these investigations, creates uncertainty about direction, raises questions about whether ongoing work will continue, whether priorities will shift, whether new leadership would take things in a different direction. All of that uncertainty is bad for the institution and for the country, regardless of your political perspective. The base's reaction to the Patel situation reveals something important about MAGA politics. The movement demands results. It demands that promises be kept. It demands that the people Trump appoints actually deliver on the agenda they were put in place to implement. When that doesn't happen, when appointees seem to fall short or compromise or shift their positions, the base turns on them quickly. Loyalty to Trump doesn't translate into automatic loyalty to Trump's appointees. Patel discovered that the hard way. Being Trump's choice wasn't enough to protect him from MAGA criticism when his performance didn't match expectations. Trump's position in all of this is genuinely difficult. He brought Patel in with fanfare. He sold him to the base as the answer to the FBI's problems. Firing him would be an admission that the choice was wrong, that Trump's judgment about who could do the job was flawed. That's not something Trump likes to admit. But keeping him means continuing to deal with the controversies and the bad headlines and the MAGA infighting. Neither option is attractive. and that's probably why the situation has dragged on with so much uncertainty. Trump is trying to figure out the least bad path forward, and there may not be one. Alright, so let's break this down into the key takeaways, because the Patel situation illuminates some really important dynamics within the Trump administration and the MAGA movement more broadly. This isn't just about one person's job status, this is about loyalty and expectations and the gap between promises and reality. Let me walk you through the main points and what they mean for Trump's presidency going forward. First key point, Trump's frustration with Patel is reportedly about headlines, not substance. According to the reports, Trump isn't upset because Patel has failed to accomplish specific goals. He's upset because Patel keeps generating negative media coverage. That's a revealing priority. It suggests that Trump cares more about the narrative than the actual work being done. He wants someone who can execute the agenda without creating distractions. Patel, whatever his substantive performance, has been a lightning rod for controversy, and that's apparently what's putting his job in jeopardy. Second key point. The Epstein situation has become toxic for anyone associated with it. Patel was supposed to deliver transparency on the Epstein files. Instead, he's become associated with delays and shifting narratives. His changing stance on aspects of the case has created suspicion among the very people who should be his biggest supporters. The Epstein issue is so charged, so wrapped up in conspiracy theories and demands for accountability that anyone who handles it faces enormous scrutiny. Patel has not handled that scrutiny well. His explanations have raised more questions than they've answered, and that failure, more than anything else, may be what's dooming his tenure. Third key point. MAGA is not as unified as it appears. The conflict over Patel reveals genuine divisions within the movement. Some prominent voices defend him, others attack him relentlessly. The base that's supposed to be unified behind Trump and his choices is genuinely split on whether Patel is good or bad. That division makes it harder for Trump to make decisions. Whatever he does about Patel will please some of his supporters and anger others. The movement that presents itself as monolithic is actually full of factions and disagreements, and the Patel situation has brought those to the surface. Fourth key point. White House statements of support often precede departures. We've seen this pattern repeatedly in Trump's orbit. Someone's position becomes shaky. Spokespeople issue statements of full confidence, and then the person is gone. The public assurances that Patel is a critical member of the team should be understood in that context. They might be genuine expressions of support, or they might be the standard preamble to a firing. There's no way to know from the outside which it is, but experienced Trump watchers know not to take public statements at face value. Fifth key point. The confirmation gauntlet for a replacement would be brutal. If Trump fires Patel, he has to find someone to replace him, and that person has to be confirmed by the Senate. Democrats would use the confirmation process to highlight all the problems with the Patel tenure. They would ask difficult questions about the FBI's direction. They would try to extract commitments about investigations and priorities. The whole process would be contentious and distracting. Trump has to weigh the cost of keeping Patel against the cost of going through a confirmation fight for someone new. Neither option is appealing. Sixth key point. Leadership instability at the FBI affects ongoing investigations. The Bureau is handling numerous sensitive matters. Some involve Trump's political enemies. Some involve the Epstein case. Some involve national security. Uncertainty at the top creates uncertainty about all of this work. Career professionals don't know if their priorities will change. Witnesses and targets don't know what to expect. The institution itself is damaged by the constant drama. Regardless of whether Patel stays or goes, the turmoil is bad for the FBI and bad for the country. Seventh key point. This situation fits a broader pattern of turnover in Trump's orbit. The administration has struggled to maintain stable personnel. Key positions keep turning over. Appointees fall out of favor. Internal conflicts play out publicly. Patel's situation, whether it ends in resignation or firing or an awkward continuation, adds to this pattern. It reinforces the narrative that Trump can't keep people, that working for him is dangerous for careers and reputations, that his judgment about personnel is flawed. Every near departure adds to that narrative, even if the person ultimately stays. So where does this leave us? What's the likely trajectory from here? The December 15th timeline in the reports suggests a decision is coming soon. Either Trump will pull the trigger and remove Patel, or he'll decide to keep him and deal with the ongoing controversies. A third possibility is that Patel resigns on his own, giving Trump political cover by making it look like a voluntary departure rather than a firing. Any of these outcomes is possible, and all of them have significant implications. If Patel goes, the MAGA movement will be divided over whether it was the right call. Some will say good riddance to someone who disappointed them. Others will say Trump caved to pressure or abandoned a loyal soldier. The confirmation fight for a replacement will be ugly, and the FBI will be in limbo during the transition. If Patel stays, the controversies will continue, the MAGA critics will keep attacking him, the bad headlines will keep coming, and Trump will have to keep defending a choice that many of his own supporters think was wrong. That's not a comfortable position for a president who prizes loyalty and doesn't like admitting mistakes. The political implications for 2026 are significant either way. Democrats will use the Patel situation, whatever happens, to argue that Trump's administration is chaotic, that he can't keep people in key positions, that his judgment is flawed. These arguments resonate with swing voters who are tired of drama and want competent governance. The more personnel turmoil there is, the more ammunition Democrats have for those arguments. The base's expectations create an impossible standard for anyone running the FBI under Trump. They want someone who will expose all the conspiracies and hold all the wrongdoers accountable and release all the files and clean out all the corrupt agents. But actually doing that, if it were even possible, would generate enormous controversy and legal challenges and institutional resistance. The gap between what the base expects and what can realistically be accomplished ensures that anyone in the job will eventually disappoint. Patel disappointed faster than most, but his replacement, if there is one, will likely disappoint too. The expectations are simply too high. The Epstein dimension of all this isn't going away. Whatever happens with Patel, the questions about those files will persist. The demand for transparency will continue. The suspicion that something is being covered up will remain. Patel may be removed, but the issue that damaged him most will still be there. It will still be generating controversy. It will still be dividing the base. It will still be creating problems for whoever handles it next. Keep watching this story. Keep paying attention to what happens with Patel in the coming weeks, because the resolution of this situation will tell us a lot about how Trump makes decisions, about what he values in his appointees, about how he handles internal conflicts, and about whether loyalty really matters as much as he claims it does. Patel was supposed to be the ultimate loyalist. He was supposed to be the one person Trump could count on to never waver, and now he might be on his way out, because in Trump's world, loyalty only goes one way, and when the headlines turn bad, even the truest of believers can find themselves discarded. The panic in the White House is real because the stakes are high. Losing an FBI director, especially one who was sold as the answer to so many problems, is embarrassing. It raises questions. It creates narratives that are hard to control, and it suggests that maybe, just maybe, Trump's personnel decisions aren't as good as he claims they are. That's a dangerous thing to suggest about someone whose brand is built on being smarter than everyone else, on always making the best deals, on surrounding himself with the best people. Kash Patel was supposed to be one of the best people. Now he might be one of the discarded people. And the journey from one category to the other happened faster than anyone expected. That's the story here. That's what matters about the Patel situation. Not just whether he stays or goes, but what his potential departure says about the nature of loyalty and power in Trump's Washington. I'll see you in the next one.